Hey, how's it going out there, Wastelanders, and welcome to my very first Fallout 76 build guide. In this video, I'm going to be showing off my main character's bloodied melee build. I'll also be going over the perk cards, armor, weapons, and what items I use, and a few tips and tricks I use for this build. I'll include a leveling guide in the description for newer players, so on your road to 50, you'll be able to get just the right cards to have a solid melee build. Keep in mind this build is finished around level 65, and it does have some expensive milestones to run this build, but I had no problem running it without the mutation maintenance. So this is my Raider Brawler, my favorite melee build, and let's get right into it. Starting off with weapons that work best for this build, the weapon of choice is unarmed melee, such as the Power Fist, Meat Hook, Deathclaw Gauntlet, or the Mole Miner Gauntlet. The main legendary effect you want to look for is Bloodied, followed by either swing speed or power attack damage. The third stat on the weapon is up to you in my opinion, since there are a few good effects out there, such as reduced damage while blocking, while power attacking, or the +1 stat to either strength or endurance. There are a few other unarmed melee weapons such as the Knuckles and the Death Tambo. You can use any bloodied unarmed melee in your arsenal, but the best in slot for the build is the Bloody Deathclaw Gauntlet with swing speed and +1 strength. I currently use the Unstoppable Monster, which is a Bloody Deathclaw Gauntlet with power attack damage and reduced damage while power attacking. You can also run this build with one-handed melee and two-handed melee, but, honestly, I perfected this for unarmed, so we're just gonna roll with that. Don't forget to pack a favorite rifle as well, the main stat being bloodied, so you can do decent damage from a distance. I use a bloodied explosive handmade, or my bloody explosive laser, to deal with those pesky scorch beasts. There's another really good range weapon that you're going to want to add to your back pocket for this build, and that would be the Endanger All Syringer. When you shoot a creature with it, that's going to give them a negative 25% damage resistance. This is going to help this build and other players around you deal extra damage. Now on to the armor. The main legendary effect on the armor for this build is Unyielding. As you can see, I have mostly mixed sets since I haven't really put the time into getting good god rolls. I do manage to have one really good piece of armor. It's an Unyielding with +1 strength, and it has a boost to sneak. The secondary effect you'll be looking for is Cavalier. This will help reduce damage while you are sprinting, which you're going to be doing a lot since, you're not a ranged build. You're always going to be hauling ass to get up close and personal to clap some cheeks. And then your third effect is either going to be powered, improved sneak, or +1 strength or endurance. Another piece of armor you're going to want to look into getting yourself is any under armor that complements the way you play. I personally like the Shielded 76 jumpsuit. It boosts a lot of stats and it gives you a little bit of DR, so make sure you pick up a shielded under armor. One last thing I'd like to add before I move on from the armor. There are actually 3 different variants of an armor set you can get. As you can see here on the Fallout 76 wiki, there is regular Raider armor, sturdy Raider armor, and then heavy Raider armor. When you're working on your armor set, make sure you always check to see if that piece is the 3rd variant, the strongest one, to have a max DR. Also, make sure your gear is fully modified for maximum efficiency for this build. Another piece of equipment that you're going to want to add to your arsenal is a backpack. You can obtain a backpack by doing the Ever Upwards quest lines and doing the Pioneer Scout challenges. Not only will a backpack increase your carrying capacity, which will help out with carrying chems and everything, but you'll also be able to mod your backpack to give you a higher DR in ballistics damage, energy resistance, or there's other quality of life crap like food doesn't spoil as quick and such, so don't forget to pick up a backpack. Now let's move on to perk cards. You're going to notice I have a strength of 15. The very first perk card I have equipped here is Barbarian 3. That is going to give you more DR the higher your strength is. That's one of the defensive cards. Moving on from that, we got Iron Fist 3. That's going to maximize your unarmed melee damage. Next up is Blocker 3. This is going to make it so when you're beating the crap out of everything up close and personal, you don't get one-shot by a ghoul or a Scorch Beast. After that, Incisor 3. This is going to boost up your unarmed melee damage by giving you a little bit of armor penetration. And then Martial Artist 3. Now you're going to be able to swing a little bit faster and your weapon should weigh less. Moving on, Perception 1. I have Fire in the Hole. This one's up to personal preference. You can use Glow-Sighted, you can use Grenadier, Long Shot, Tank Killer. I like to use Fire in the Hole because I love whipping tomahawks around the battlefield. Now, Endurance of 15. Right off the bat, you're going to notice I got Life Giver 4. This card has a couple of hidden perks to it, as well as boosting your HP total, which will help with your unyielding and your survivability. Next up, Ironclad 5. As long as you're not in power armor, this will boost your DR, making you more tanky. This is another defensive card. Adamantium Skeleton 3. This will make it so your limbs cannot be crippled. But if you're trying to push up on something and it breaks your legs and you're just hobbling towards it, you're not going to survive. After that, we got Cola Nut 2. All you have to do is pop a quantum, and you're literally unkillable for a few seconds. And the more quantums you pop, basically, you're just God mode at that point. But if you don't like using the colas, you can always swap it out for Chem Fiend 2. That'll boost how long your chems last, which is always nice, so you're not constantly inhaling furies and overdrives. And now for the last card in Endurance, Radical. This will boost your max strength by 5 based on your rads. As an unyielding build, you are going to be rolling with a lot of rads. This card's very powerful, and it works with Barbarian as well. Moving on to Charisma, we got a Charisma 3. Now this one's situational. When you're by yourself, you can run Lone Wanderer 3. When you're in a crew, I usually roll Suppressor 3, unless someone's not sharing Strange in Numbers. Then I roll Suppressor 2 and Strange in Number 1. You can also pick up Tenderizer 3 if you're looking to do just a little bit more damage out there. If you want to get increased stats or have any of those cards active in Charisma that require to be on a team, all you have to do is make yourself a little public team, and then bam, you're good. Now on to Intelligence. As you can see, an Intelligence of 3. All you need is Nerd Rage 3. With Agility, we got about 13 points. Starting off, we got Ninja 3. This is going to boost your melee damage as long as you're crouched and not spotted. We're going to have a defensive card of Evasive 3. This is going to boost your DR based on your agility, so you're going to have a max DR through that. We got Sneak 3. This is going to boost your stealth by 75%. Most of the time, nothing will even see you unless you're just wiggling around right in front of them. Then they'll usually spot you. After that, we got Escape Artist 1. This is going to let you crouch walk and break sight. So basically, what's going to happen is if something spots you, all you have to do is get behind cover, do a little crouch, and then it'll break sight with the enemy, and then you'll be able to do stealth hits again. After Escape Artist, we got another defensive card, Dodgy 3. Now what Dodgy does is it's going to let you avoid damage at the cost of AP. My AP is mostly spent on power attacking, running, and avoiding damage with Dodgy. You'll notice with this build, I don't have Action Boy 3, so the AP regen is a little low. All you're really going to have to do when your AP's drained is just pop a Nuka-Cola Quantum, and there you go. And now for the last set of cards, I have a luck of 6. You're going to need Serendipity 3. So Serendipity is a defensive card, and now we have an offensive card of Bloody Mess 3. This is going to boost your damage by 15%. And there you go. That's it for luck. Now, there are a few other alt cards you can get, and you can run this build any way you want, but this is what I have. I also use this build for crafting. You can pick up Super Duper 3 in luck for when you're crafting, and then in intelligence, there's Scrapper, Contractor, you got Fix It Good if you like to bench repair, and there's also Weapon Artisan, which will let you repair your gear up to 200%, which will also increase its damage and DR. Another card you're going to want to pick up is an Agility. If you like repairing your armor on a bench, it's called White Knight 3. Now, what this card's going to do for you is lessen the amount of junk it takes to repair your armor. So Fix It Good and White Knight work really well together. Chemist, if you need to make a bunch of chems, you'll get double of every chem when you craft it. And then if that pops off of Super Duper, you'll get double, which is awesome. And if you need to craft ammo and agility, there is Ammo Smith 2. That also works with Super Duper, and it's really awesome for making a boatload of ammo. For farming with this build, you're going to want to pick up Can Do and Pharma. This will let you find bonus items in containers when you're out looting. Another card that you're going to want to pick up for when you're farming out there is Green Thumb. That is in Perception. And then there's just a few other alt cards, and then whatever you feel like building upon. And you can simply swap out Blocker if you're not taking any melee hits, or you can drop Iron Fist. It'll lower your damage, but if you need to get out of somewhere because you're overweight from stims and chems, you're going to want Traveling Pharmacist 3. For ammo, you're going to want Bandolier. And for food and drink items, there's a card in Agility called Through Hiker. You can use this by dropping Dodgy or one of the stealth cards and pick that up so you can get to moving again. Perk cards down, let's go over mutations. The mutations are really easy for this build. I don't really have set mutations, and that's because you can run all of the mutations. Except Herbivore or Carnivore, you're going to have to pick between one of the two. I choose Carnivore over Herbivore since there's a lot of really good buffs you can get for melee builds. Now you might be wondering to yourself, why the hell are you running all these mutations? And it's really simple. If you take mutation serums, it's actually going to suppress the negative effects for 1 hour. This is the most expensive part of the build. It requires you to either purchase the serums off of other players, or craft your own by purchasing the serum recipes from the Enclave. You can lower the price by simply having your maximum unyielding stats to boost your charisma up, and there's also a perk card known as Hard Bargain in Charisma, which will help lower the price when you go to buy those. Either way, you're going to have to obtain these to run this build, otherwise you're going to be nerfed the whole time you're running this. So now that you know about the mutations, let's move on to the chems, foods, and alcohol you're going to be using to maximize your melee damage and survivability. There's a lot of really good foods out there, and all you have to do to see what they do is go into a cooking station and you can actually see all of the buffs you can get from the foods. For maximum melee damage, what you're going to be running is an unarmed bobblehead. There's a few magazines you can roll, like Grodnock the Barbarian Issue 1, Blood on the Harp, Issue number 4, In the Bosom of the Corsair Queen. And I believe the best in slot magazine-wise is U.S. Covert Operations Manual number 8, Bushes, Boxes, and Beehives. Camouflage Special Edition. That's going to boost your unarmed and knife damage by 25%. Now for food stuffs, you're going to want Stingwing Meat, Mutant Hound, Deathclaw, Mole Rat, Glowing Steaks, Sheep Squatch Steaks. And for your alcoholic beverages, you're going to want whiskey and Nuka-Cola Dark, as well as vintage Nuka-Shine. And the rotation for that is simply this. Say you're going to fight the Scorchbeast Queen, what you're going to want to do is pop all your food buffs, and right before she lands, you're going to want to hit a whiskey, a Nuka-Cola Dark, you're going to pop an Overdrive, then a Fury, and then from here, if you need more stealth, you can pop a Stealth Boy, or you can go right into the max damage with a Nuka-Shine. This buff combo is what's going to give you insane amounts of damage for whatever conflict you enter. And going back to how this build has AP issues, since it doesn't have Action Boy 3 or Powered Set, if you have Powered, it's not too bad. Your best friend is going to be Canned Coffee, which you can pick that up using Can Do and running around the, I think it's Wavy Willard Park. And then you just search all the garbages because you're a garbage digger. Grab some yourself canned coffee, it's really good. And then Tarberry Juice. You can find that down in Watoga in the Cranberry Bog area. Really good for AP regen. So basically, if you're popping a canned coffee, a Tarberry Juice, and then a Quantum, your AP just does not go down. And it's wonderful because then Dodgy's going to be constantly blocking damage and Serendipity will be activating. And it's a good time with that little buff combo as well. After I'm done with this build guide, I'm going to do a guide on where to farm all these goodies for yourselves. So that's some of the food buffs you can use to run with this build. For radiation protection, glowing blood packs are awesome considering you can actually stack them. I've always used glowing blood packs, but a lot of other people recommend using the Rad-X Dilute and Rad Shield. You never want to pop a full Rad-X. This will suppress your mutations for a little bit. Make sure you have Super Duper active when you're crafting all of these supplies for yourself. This way you might end up with double or even quadruple of what you basically need to run this. Last thing I'm going to go over before I finish this video off is Playstyle and Control. You're just going to want to stealth up and move up onto your target. Then you're going to proceed to one-shot or two-shot the enemy and rinse and repeat. If you're spotted, get to cover or charge your enemy and take him out really quick. I play 76 on Xbox, and so what I did to make crouch walking easier with my controller is I swapped out the VATS button with the crouch button. So now to crouch, I just hit left bumper, and to go into VATS, I click in right thumbstick. I find this control swap to be really nice for crouch walking, and it's also really nice for when you want to get into VATS since your right thumbstick is your aiming trigger, unless you play with a completely different controller scheme. I'm going to wrap it up here though, fellas. I believe I covered everything for this video guide. I hope this helps some of you newer players out, or you current players who are just looking to have a nice melee ult. Thanks for stopping in and watching this video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you all have a lovely day. Take it easy, everybody.